I want you to take a second and just think about how you define yourself. Like if someone walks up to you at a party and asks, "Who are you?" What is the very first thing you say?
Right, yeah. Most people go straight to their job.
Exactly. You name your profession, or maybe you say you're a parent,
Mm.
or you proudly mention the city you grew up in.
Or a sports team.
Yeah. If you're feeling particularly passionate, maybe you identify as a diehard fan of a specific team or, a member of a certain political party.
We do that almost by reflex. I mean, we build these little identity portfolios to navigate the world. It signals to others who we are. It creates this sense of safety and predictability.
But, and here is where things get wild, what if that cozy sense of belonging is actually a cosmic trap?
It's a huge shift in perspective.
It really is. Today, we are unpacking a radically different framework. We're doing a deep dive into a profound, mind-bending philosophical text authored by Kuefeng. And the translation was edited by Kinyu. It's titled 36-8 Troygram Array, the Array of Belonging.
And the premise here is just, well, it's staggering.
It's basically suggesting that your family tree, your political affiliations, even your weekend hobbies, are literal mechanisms designed to keep you locked in an endless state of conflict.
Which is deeply unsettling to think about. I mean, we are conditioned to view community and belonging as the ultimate good, right? The cure for isolation.
Right.
So viewing it as a deliberate structural cage requires a massive mental leap.
Okay, let's unpack this, because reading this material felt a little bit like that moment when you realize you've been living inside the Matrix. But instead of being trapped by sentient machines or computer code, you are trapped by your own social circles, your own labels.
The title itself actually gives us a clue about how intricate this trap is. It refers to the 36-8 trigram array.
Which sounds very metaphysical.
It is. In traditional Chinese philosophy, trigrams represent the fundamental elements and shifting dynamics of reality. But within this specific framework, the concept of an array is used to describe a metaphysical labyrinth.
A labyrinth that we build ourselves.
Exactly. It is a web of 36 distinct social and psychological traps that catch human consciousness.
And the sheer variety of ways we lock ourselves into this labyrinth is, it's granular. It doesn't just focus on the big, obvious categories like nationality or religion.
No, and it covers almost everything.
Yeah, the texts lists wildly diverse examples of how people express belonging. There are statements like, "I am British," or "I belong to the Yamato people," or "I am a Christian."
Which are the standard ones.
Right. But then it throws in things like, "I am a member of the Nationalist Party," or "I work at Carrefour."
A grocery store.
A grocery store.
Yeah.
Or "I am of Asian descent," or even "My family has 5 members." And my personal favorite, "I belong to the Tiger Zodiac sign."
It seems absurd at first glance, right? Putting a grocery store or a zodiac sign on the exact same level as a massive national identity.
It does. It feels like comparing apples to, a tractor.
But what's fascinating here is how the text categorizes this innate psychological need. Mechanically, they serve the exact same psychological function. Well, whether it is a multinational corporation, a zodiac sign, or an empire, they all provide a structured framework. Think about the underlying psychology driving this behavior.
We want to belong.
Right. We crave shared origins. We look for distinguishing features, cultural traits, resonant emotions. Because, honestly, the alternative is terrifying.
Oh, there is a vivid description of that terror in the source material. It says that without a sense of belonging to a group, people feel unsettled. They feel like lost souls adrift in the world, aimless like clouds drifting in the sky.
Aimless clouds.
And I get that. I really do. Imagine filling out a census form and realizing there isn't a single box you can check. It induces this profound existential dread.
Exactly. We do not want to be aimless clouds. So we anchor ourselves, we find a group. But the moment you place someone within a certain group or circle, it allows them to float within it unknowingly.
Unknowingly. That's a heavy word there.
It is, meaning you stop treading water and just let the current of the group carry you.
You adopt the group's enemies, the group's preferences, the group's blind spots.
You surrender a portion of your individual consciousness to the collective current. So this structured web of groups, these nations, religions, families, and companies, constitutes the belonging array. It is a snare.
Okay, I have to push back a little here. I have to pause on the word snare.
Fair enough.
Because putting on a team jersey or reading your horoscope and feeling proud of your zodiac sign or, just loving your family, that feels good. It gives us community. It provides a safety net.
It feels very safe.
Right. So why is the author framing this cozy blanket of identity as a literal array or a trap? Framing it as a snare implies it is something malicious we need to escape from.
To understand why this cozy blanket is viewed as a snare, we have to zoom out. We need to take a macro perspective.
Okay, zooming out.
Imagine the Earth not as a collection of borders and territories, but as a single ship. A ship drifting through the immense, dark expanse of the Milky Way galaxy.
The Earth ship. I love that analogy. It makes everything feel incredibly fragile.
It does.
Because on a single drifting ship, the only logical way to survive is for the entire crew to cooperate.
Yeah.
I mean, humans inherently belong to the global citizenry. We're all just crewmates.
But what actually happens, the crew divides themselves into factions.
Right.
Because of this array of belonging, a profound shift happens. People become inherently selfish on behalf of their group. They stop seeing the ship.
And they only see their specific deck.
Yeah.
Or their specific cabin.
Or their specific faction. Exactly.
Which turns that cozy blanket into a blindfold. And the text says the results of this factionalism are brutal. It describes life inside the array as a bloody drama.
A bloody drama. That's a powerful phrase.
It is, because once you are in the array, you will do anything for it. The author points out that people will sacrifice themselves on a battlefield for a nation. They will launch crusades for a religion.
They'll get into physical brawls over a political party.
Yeah, or quietly monopolize resources in the shadows just to benefit their own social circle.
Because the drive to defend the in-group inevitably leads to the demonization and destruction of the out-group.
Which makes sense.
This tribalism disrupts the harmony of existence on a planetary scale. I mean, we slaughter other species, we mistreat each other, all in the name of whatever circle we've drawn around ourselves.
Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting. It makes complete sense to point at extreme nationalism or violent political divides and say, yes, that causes conflict.
Yeah.
We see that on the news every single day.
Absolutely.
But the text targets something else. It targets the one institution almost every human culture holds sacred.
The family.
The family unit.
Yeah.
It claims that for their family, people will crush human nature, and for their home, they will take risks and break laws.
Yeah.
I mean, how can dedicating yourself to your family be considered a destructive force by this author? Can you dissect this for us?
It is definitely a radical stance, but let's break down the logic of that within the Earthship framework we just talked about.
Yep.
What is the fundamental nature of the family unit? It's exclusive.
So if the Earth is a single ship, I suppose prioritizing my own family means I'm locking the door to my cabin.
Precisely.
I am hoarding the ship's limited rations for my own kids while actively letting the children in the cabin next door starve.
Is that the crushing of human nature the author's talking about?
That is the exact mechanism.
Mm-hmm.
The author sees any exclusive in-group prioritization, even the family unit, as a division. It disrupts the harmony of existence.
Wow.
Universal human nature in its purest form should be expansive and cooperative, but it gets crushed down to fit inside the tiny box of the household.
So by prioritizing your own child, you are inherently deprioritizing the child of a stranger.
Yes. To protect or elevate your own family, you might hoard resources, bend ethical rules, or just turn a blind eye to the suffering of those outside your home.
That is heavy. Even the most beautiful, seemingly selfless expression of the array a parent's love for a child is still a mechanism of division. It is still drawing a line in the sand. And the drive to belong is so blind, so desperately ingrained in us that people will attach themselves to literally anything just to avoid that feeling of being an aimless cloud.
Right, because we are terrified of the void.
Exactly. The need for connection supersedes morality. The text points out that people will form networks and join organizations with anyone. They'll join beggar gangs, criminal syndicates, or theft rings just so they are not alone.
Joining a syndicate of thieves just so you don't have to eat lunch alone, that is a dark realization.
It really highlights the desperation.
But it leads to a massive question. If this array causes so much destruction, if it turns life into a bloody drama and crushes human nature down to the size of a single cabin, why haven't we evolved past it?
That is the core mystery, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, why is humanity so hardwired for this specific kind of tribal suffering? Why is it practically built into us?
Well, this is where the framework transitions from sociology into something much more cosmic.
I'm ready.
The premise posits that the Earth is not just a random rock floating in space. It serves a very specific structural purpose in the universe. Earth is defined as a transit station in the hierarchical space of humanity.
A transit station,
Yeah.
like a cosmic waiting room,
Sure.
or a layover between flights.
Exactly like a layover. And this array of belonging, this constant cycle of tribalism, war, and conflict, is essentially a game designed for the human world.
A game.
It is a game constructed to make people completely oblivious to the real script. Creating this intense sense of belonging keeps humans deliberately short-sighted, narrow-minded, and selfish.
Oh, I see. We are so busy fighting over borders or arguing about political parties or hoarding wealth for our families that we never look up.
Never.
We never see the whole ship, let alone the universe outside of it.
It traps us in the human world.
Yeah.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, that trap is intentionally designed. It is structurally necessary for the universe.
Okay, let me try an analogy here to make sense of this. Stay with me.
Let's hear it.
Think about a massive multiplayer online role-playing game, an MMORPG.
Okay, like World of Warcraft.
Exactly. The entire game relies on a progression system. You have level 1 zones, mid-level zones, and the final boss area. If a glitch happens, and every single level 1 player suddenly gains maximum stats, unlocks every ability, and ascends to the final boss level all at exactly the same time. Well, actually, I shouldn't say all at the same time. Let's say instantly.
The servers would crash.
The entire game's code would crash. The servers would melt down. The game only functions because players progress at a staggered, balanced pace, fighting low-level enemies to slowly build experience.
That analogy perfectly illustrates the concept of dynamic balance described in the text.
Oh, good.
Yeah, if everyone in the human world suddenly awakened, dropped their tribalism, and became divine all at once, the evolutionary chain of life would form a fracture zone or a fault line.
A literal cosmic server crash.
Precisely. The universe operates on a complex ecology of consciousness. This balance relies on the ability to implement, quote, corresponding punishments for higher-level life forms and appropriate rewards for lower-level life forms.
So the trap is a structural necessity.
It is. The transit station of Earth has to maintain a certain density. It requires a specific frequency of struggle, friction, and short-sightedness to hold its place in the hierarchical space.
So the next time you get furious at a rival political party on the news or feel a surge of fierce pride for your sports team, you are just performing your required role in the game.
Generating friction.
Right. You're generating the exact friction the universe requires to keep the transit station operational. We are caught in the array because the universe needs a place where souls are caught in the web of belonging until they are truly ready to let go of it.
Which brings us to the most difficult part of the framework.
How to get out.
Exactly. Having established that the Earth is a perfectly balanced, intentionally chaotic holding pen, how does an individual actually break out of this transit station?
There has to be a way to clear the level, right? What is the escape route?
The text refers to this roadmap as escaping from the bondages of the 3 realms and 5 elements.
Okay, let's unpack that jargon. The 3 realms and 5 elements.
Right. In Eastern philosophy, the 3 realms and 5 elements basically encompass the entirety of the physical and karmic constraints of the material universe.
The cycle of suffering.
Exactly, the cycle of suffering, rebirth, and physical attachment. To reach heaven or ascend to the next level of existence, you must completely escape the array. There is no middle ground. You cannot take your baggage with you.
So what is the actual method?
The method prescribed is incredibly demanding. You must view yourself solely as a citizen of the Earth.
Not as a citizen of a specific country.
Nope. Not as a member of an ethnicity, a political party, a religion, an interest group, or even a family. You have to actively stop engaging in what the author calls the small family life program.
The small family life program.
Wow. You must serve the entire Earth and all of humanity without showing preference to any one faction.
But how does shedding your identity actually achieve that ascension? I mean, the text claims that doing this expands the mind, ascends life with a capital L, perfects the soul, and purifies consciousness. That sounds great, but what is the actual mechanism there?
The implication is that our biases, our loyalties, and our labels literally carry weight. They weigh down our consciousness.
Like karmic friction.
Exactly. When you say, I am this, and therefore I must defend it against that, you are creating heavy karmic friction. By dropping the baggage of I am this, your consciousness becomes light enough to reach a new frequency.
You stop generating the static of earthly drama.
Yes, and your mind begins to resonate with celestial beings.
It's like tuning your internal radio to a completely different station.
That's a great way to put it.
Which begs the question, what are you tuning into? This raises an important question for the listener. What is the reward for giving up your team, your country, and your family? What does life actually look like outside of the array?
The destination is described in the text as the thousand-year world.
The thousand-year world.
It is a realm 10 times larger than Earth, inhabited by 200 million celestial beings. And the defining characteristic of this world is what it lacks.
Zero arrays.
Zero arrays. There are absolutely no countries there, no political parties, no religions, no interest groups, and crucially, no families.
No families at all.
None. Because there are no exclusive groups, there is no hoarding of the ship's rations. Resources are shared equally by everyone. There is zero oppression, no fighting, no killing, no grabbing or exploitation.
Just peace.
The result is ultimate joy, freedom, and bliss.
So what does this all mean? Let's ground this massive cosmic destination back into the reality of, sitting here listening to this deep dive today.
It's a lot to process.
It is. Because this framework presents a truly incredible challenge. In order to achieve ultimate universal peace, cosmic harmony, and eternal bliss, you have to willingly surrender every single label, boundary, and tribal loyalty you have ever held dear.
You have to dismantle the entire identity portfolio.
Everything.
Yeah.
You have to give up your cultural heritage,
Yeah.
your political passions, your professional pride, even the profound biological loyalty you feel toward your own family.
Right down to the family.
You have to look at the people you love most in the world and feel the exact same level of affection and responsibility for them as you do for a complete stranger on the other side of the planet. You have to say, I love you, but I do not belong to you, and you do not belong to me. We are just equal crewmates.
It asks us to overcome millions of years of evolutionary programming. I mean, the array is like a spiritual gravity. It keeps us grounded, it makes us feel secure, and it stops us from floating away like aimless clouds.
But it also makes it physically impossible to fly.
Exactly. Escaping it requires a level of spiritual discipline that is almost incomprehensible to the average person operating within the small family life program.
It's breathtaking. And frankly, it's terrifying to step out of the warmth of the campfire and into the vast, cold, but ultimately free expanse of the universe.
Which I suppose is exactly why most people choose to stay comfortably asleep inside the array.
Yeah. The friction of the transit station is familiar. The boundless freedom of the thousand-year world is alien.
Very true.
So, to quickly summarize this profound journey we've just taken through the source material, we started by looking at our deepest psychological craving, the need to belong.
To avoid the existential dread of being an aimless cloud.
Right. And we saw how this craving pushes us to categorize ourselves into an incredibly diverse labyrinth of groups, from the Carrefour grocery store we work at to the nation we live in.
And we explored how that very cure for our spiritual loneliness forces us into an 8-trigram array of tribal warfare. By prioritizing our own cabins, we hoard rations and turn life on Earth into a bloody drama, keeping humanity short-sighted and selfish.
And all of this happens to keep the cosmic transit station running smoothly, generating the friction needed to maintain the dynamic balance of the universe's server. We remain stuck in the game until we are ready to escape.
By abandoning our narrow allegiances, shedding the heavy weight of our biases, and expanding our consciousness to the scale of the entire Earthship.
Ultimately striving for the thousand-year world, a realm of pure freedom, completely empty of all boundaries, borders, and family ties.
It's a fascinating paradigm.
It really is. Which brings us back to where we started and leaves us with a lingering question for you to ponder long after this deep dive ends. Think again about how you define yourself.
Your labels.
Your labels. The text promises that the 200 million beings in the thousand-year world experience pure joy and absolute freedom precisely because they have zero family ties and belong to no groups. But if you were to completely strip away your culture, your family, your passions, and every single group you have ever loved or fought for, what exactly is the self that is left behind to experience that eternal bliss?
That's the real question.
Can human joy even exist without the boundaries that define us?